She's completely unexplainable. You think she's a good girl, but once you get to know her, you realize she is everything. She's crazy, she's funny, she's honest, and you never know what she's going to do next.
Yay! I'm so glad you came back. I'm Tracy Bush-Pate. This is my Being Tracy podcast, and it's based on a Facebook page that I had. I had it until September 3rd this month, and it was hacked. But temporarily, I'm getting it back, so you can go ahead and subscribe to that channel or follow, like the page, www.facebook.com/Being Tracy. I'm going to be back there as soon as possible, probably by the time you see this. So anyway, but I want to introduce you today to my esteemed guest, Jeff Deforrest, better known as Defo.
D-E-F-O, yeah, the first four letters of my last name.
People call you Defo.
Defo for a long time. Yeah, in fact, a lot of people don't believe my last name is Deforrest. They think that was a made-up name. But yeah, Defo it's been, and that just came about over time, and everybody has referred to me as that for like the last 40 years down here in South Florida.
Well, now tell me, what are you most known for, Defo? Do people call you that, like your name, like Defo? Like I'm slang.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cool.
They've called me a lot of stuff. I mean, I don't know how liberal you are with language here on the Being Tracy podcast.
You can. I don't make any cuts.
Ours is laced with expletives. Although we try not to do it.
We try to lay low on the expletives, but they come out sometimes, right? Right.
What's funny is after doing terrestrial radio for so many years, and being on TV, various different performances, whether it was local TV, local news, sportscasting, did a lot of boxing internationally, calling play-by-play. You really edit things out in your head,
right?
And as you're about to say, that guy's going to knock this guy out, you're able to kind of extract that from the conversation. So we're sort of more trained that way than we are in the modern day of podcasting, where you can give a Joe Pesci tirade, and that's considered polite. Yeah.
You do it for real,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so, where did you start? Where did you get your beginning?
When I started out, I was thinking, I really, you talk about 7 years of college down the drain.
And what did you study?
I went to Syracuse University, but for me, it was really an epiphany of both spirituality and sexuality at the same time. And so there was a slight bit of neglect when it came to actually going to the Newhouse School of Communications, which has turned out any number of brilliant, not just broadcasters. I mean, Rod Serling went there. A lot of big sportscasters have gone there, including the great Dick Stockton and Marty Glickman. I mean, you've had many, many big names that were attendees. Bob Costas was a Syracuse guy. In fact, he was a grade behind me. But I don't know, even if we had GPS back then, I mean, this is circa early 70s, I'm not sure that I could have found a campus because I was having too good of a time. So I got started in California. I was just on a whim out there. I moved out there with a friend of mine. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I guess in my heart, I knew I always wanted to do sportscasting. My dad used to tease me and say, you were broadcasting games when you were 5 years old in a bathtub. And he got a kick out of the fact that I would do like the national anthem and then the lineup and then start doing the play-by-play. So I finally found my way in California into some radio work and newspapers, and on a whim moved here again and got started I came here in 1981. And fortunately been able to stay with the business ever since. A lot of ups and downs, but a very interesting ride nonetheless.
And so how did you get started in broadcasting? How did this...
Well, I mean, I was...
You studied radio and TV. When you came out of college?
I didn't really study it. Yeah, that was the problem. But I was able to fake my way through the early stages of most jobs.
You didn't really study. That was the problem.
That was a big problem. Yeah, I mean, that's why I ended up waiting tables for a few years. But while other guys were starting out as NFL announcers. But, I always was into creating programs, and that's kind of what I've done my whole life also. And I learned a few techniques when I was in California about buying time on radio stations, TV stations, and selling it myself, and then producing the product, which is actually, I mean, think about it, that's what this whole streaming and podcasting industry is all about. So it was good training for that. And then I came here, a friend of mine, I was working at a radio station in L.A., really a low-level job. I just wanted to get my foot in the door. I'd been doing some other broadcasting out there around the outskirts of town. And a guy told me, hey, you know what, if you really want to make it, go to Miami. He had just come from Miami, and you can get a job right off the streets. And he was right about that. But what he didn't tell me is these jobs didn't pay squat back then, and it was hard to make a living. So you had to scramble and do some creative things. And I ended up starting my own little video company, and we had a lot of success making shows, different kinds of sports shows. Cable TV came around. You started having regional cable sports systems. We connected with them. And, then I eventually kind of landed in radio talk shows. And, once I got started, it took off, and I was able to sustain it.
That's what I was wondering. Why did you choose radio instead of TV? Or was it not your choice?
Yeah, no, I did both for a while. I always enjoyed radio. I like the whole theater of the mind thing where you don't actually see the person. Plus, it was better in my case not to be seen most of the time, especially some of the conditions we used to show up in, in the 80s.
Right.
When, it was a whole different turf down here in South Florida. When there was the Cocaine Cowboys era. My good friend Billy Corbin with a great documentary on that. I guess he made a couple of them, but that was kind of how it was. It was wild, and it was a good industry to be in. We were partying all the time, having a great time, making good money, and so radio was really something I was passionate about. I always loved it, but I had a lot of adventures with television also at different levels and in different styles.
That's awesome. Ned, tell me, what kind of sports do you do? All sports across the board, or are there just simply certain sports that you like to cover?
I've covered them all. It's one of the great things. When I moved to Miami in 1981, we didn't really have that.
You might recognize his voice. That's what I'm thinking. People are going to recognize your voice, and they haven't even seen you before.
It happens, yeah. I mean, it happens. You'll be in a grocery store, and somebody will turn around and go, "Defo."
They hear you talking.
Because you asked, "Hey, wasn't this roast beef on sale?" And then so they see you in a completely different light than the entertainer that they took you for before. But I like all sports. There wasn't much on the landscape. It was an unusual sports landscape. When I moved here, you had the Miami Dolphins. We had no other pro teams. Actually, we did cover a little bit of the North American Soccer League, which was, I'm not even sure if you could say was an emerging sport at the time. And now, look at it, we have Messi here with this soccer club. But you didn't have the Miami Heat. You didn't have they originally were the Florida Marlins, now Miami Marlins. Didn't have the Florida Panthers. And we had University of Miami football. They didn't even have a basketball team. FIU and FAU, their programs were relatively, not a part of consideration for coverage. And it's just grown exponentially ever since, to the point where, Tracy, honestly, this was the greatest single year, I think, for any sports city overall that we've seen in the history of all games, where all of our teams were wildly successful. So it's really been a good time. And there were a lot of interesting people that resided in Miami from the sports world. I was big into boxing. And so I got to meet a lot of the people there. My first stop was the Fifth Street Gym on Miami Beach. I met Angelo Dundee there and a gentleman named Hank Kaplan. He got me started in a boxing game also. So it was great. I mean, coming here was terrific for me because I was able to make a lot of connections at a high level very quickly.
Wow.
And the people were, for the most part, extremely enjoyable to be around.
Are you mostly just zoning in here on Florida, or do you do all over the nation or the world?
Oh, no, we cover everything. Any sports talk show is usually pretty universal.
The coverage of your shows, is it mostly targeted?
You're going to have an emphasis on local stuff for sure, and that's going to be the thing that you know best. In fact, people always ask me, hey, well, why don't you go to a bigger city? Why don't you go to New York or L.A. or something like that? And the truth is, you really know so much history about the things that you've witnessed here, in my case, over 40 years. It would be hard to have that same kind of knowledge about any other city.
Right.
And fortunately, this area grew enough so that, it was possible to stay here, make a living, and, the media market here actually took off and is, I guess, just outside the top 10 as a media market. And it's been a stepping stone for a lot of people, too.
Yeah.
So good spot to be, and, we cover pretty much everything.
Now, let's see. So how did we meet? We've got to explain how we met, because I'm sure that everybody's so surprised. Like, how would we run across each other?
Well, I mean, you ran into my wife in the bathroom, and she, like you, Tracy, is a very affable person. And so,
your wife is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, she's a very interesting person, I would have to say.
Yes, she's amazing. I think it was at Max's, wasn't it, in Meisner Park?
It was a freebie thing. There was a guy that I work with actually on another podcast named Mike Mayo, who we had him originally on the radio as the Gambling Gourmet. He was the food critic for the Sun Sentinel for many years. And then, as newspapers started to fold up and buy everybody out, he took the buyout, but he sustained a little relationship with him on a Facebook page called Let's Eat South Florida.
Okay.
And that thing blossomed and now has 120,000 subscribers, all
That's
local,
amazing.
that are all interested in dining out. So it's a very useful tool.
Yeah.
So we started doing things there. And he was working with a guy who was developing an app called Best of Del Rey.
Okay.
A guy named Steve Dickstein, which whereabouts unknown. No, I don't know what he's doing. I think he's still got it going. And they had that party there where they invited people. I don't know how you ended up there, but that's how I ended up there. And I invited my wife to go along because who doesn't like free cocktails and hors
Yeah, of
d'oeuvres?
course.
And she met you in the ladies' room and came out and said, "This is my new friend."
Exactly.
And that was
exactly.
that. Yeah.
And then we did Taco Tuesday, and it was history after that, right?
I don't think I attended any more of those parties.
You invited me to the Taco Tuesday. You and your wife invited me to the Taco Tuesday,
we went
remember?
to the Tipperary pub.
Yeah.
Which, is a place that, at first glance, you're looking going, I don't know that this is my crowd. But honestly, I mean, we should give them a plug here.
It's
Every
a
Tuesday
great-
night, world-class musicians
They have
show up
great
there.
music
And it's
there.
free. And you can see, guys that you would have to pay enormous amounts of money to go see in Europe
Right.
play. It's much more popular genre blues there in Europe than it is here, but
Was that
powerful enough
Pompano
here.
Beach? Pompano Beach?
That was in, I guess it would be Lighthouse Point.
I'm like, where were we?
It's off of Hillsborough.
I just follow the GPS or let the Uber take me.
Good spot. I mean,
So I can drink.
that's one thing that's great about South Florida. Fantastic music scene and a lot of, just like we have a lot of great sports stars
Yes.
that live here and grew up here and trained here. Tremendous musical talent here in South Florida and fairly easy to find and easy to access. So it's another great reason to live here.
I agree. Now tell us, you've got some different shows you're doing now besides that Mike DeMeo show.
Mike Mayo, yeah.
Or Mike Mayo, yeah. I met him, so I should know his
It
name.
was a particularly disgusting version today because of the way Mayo eats when he's on the show. And you would never know.
He eats on the show?
Well, we all do, but and it's in total contrast to anything that I ever believed in as a broadcaster.
I'm sitting here thinking now I should have picked a different blog to read. I picked a blog about the baseball guy and the personality test. I'm going to give you a personality test.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That he gave me.
That should not be very successful, I would imagine.
So we got that coming up. But I'm sitting here thinking, geez,
Are there any authorities?
I had a
here?
bunch of pictures of food in this blog too, but I take all the pictures out when I'm going to read
The
it.
food is sensational. We were at a place just before called Gilbert's on 17th Street. A great family-owned restaurant, and they were packed. It's not a bad gig because they bring out a ton of free food. We usually end up taking half of it home. And we sit there and yap, and we watch this guy eat. Today he was trying to eat a key lime pie with chopsticks.
Oh my gosh!
So and that was the intelligent portion of the program. So
Now
you
tell me,
can imagine.
Yeah. So tell me what else you've got going on.
Well, I'm doing a show that I've been doing. We tried to do a continuation of our radio show. We lost that job a couple of years ago. The infinite wisdom of the people at the radio station, iHeartMedia, they decided, well, geez, even though these sports stations are diminishing, why don't we get rid of our only local show and put on network programming, which is
Right.
always of, I would have to think
Right.
limited appeal to anybody here. Because as you were talking about, you're going to emphasize local sports on a show, even if you're talking about everything that goes nationally.
Well, it's just that I have viewers that I know are all over the world.
Yeah.
Like
So
my Bee and Tracy page went viral when I went to Italy in June. That's what happened.
that's beautiful. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about some pizza place in Plantation, they don't
Yeah,
relate.
that's why I got to say Miami or near the Palm Beaches in Florida, just so everybody can tune in to
Yeah.
where we are,
For sure. But so we were doing a radio show for a long time, about 12 years on the same station. And they come in one day and they say, we're going in another direction. And we said, what about us? We could go in that direction. That'd be fine. And the next thing you know, you're out of a job. So I always wanted to get into the streaming game, and we just kind of continued that thing. I was working with a company where, a lot of highbrow promises were made, and the guy really couldn't deliver. So we eventually just said, hey, we could do what this guy's doing on our own.
Right.
And, so we kind of continued that show. That's in essence what we're doing. And we do that Monday through Friday from 8 to 9:45. There's a channel, South Florida Live, that it originates on, but we distribute it on several other platforms, including another local channel, 5 Reasons Sports Network,
Okay.
which was started by another Sun Sentinel writer doing very well. And then every day we connected with a company which we find very promising called NoFilter.net. And so we're doing a live performance there every day and trying to establish a gambling show that we're going to do
Okay.
every Friday. And then, we have the food show and then whatever else we can catch. If you need a ride home, I'll drive some Uber.
Okay.
As well. But,
good to know. Good to know.
But yeah, essentially, we have the general sports show. We have a thing called the morning briefing, like a 15-minute version of it. And then we're trying to establish this gambling show. So
that sounds incredible.
Well, let's hope it is.
I was going to ask you what you think sports TV needs, and it must be now gambling.
Well, that's all it is now, and it's funny because when we used to talk gambling on the shows I did years ago, I was always into gambling, or at least even analyzing gambling situations, because they're very much like relationships.
Right.
Where, the very team that you were in love with, you end up hating in a short period of time because they're not doing what you wanted them to do.
Exactly.
So, gambling has always fascinated me, the whole numerology of it, the statistics that go into it, the ability of these people. If the line makers were running the country, would we have needed this Meshuggah debate last night?
Oh, boy.
No, because everybody would be just absolutely prosperous. I don't know how they come up with these numbers, the odds on games, but right now that's all anybody's doing is gambling. Everybody wants to get in on it. We were doing it a long time ago, and when we used to mention anything related to gambling, the program director or somebody in management would come running down the hall with a sledgehammer, break the glass of the window to the studio, and go, "If you don't stop talking about that, you're going to be off the air."
Oh, my goodness.
Now they're starved for this kind of content.
Yes.
So, it turned out we were ahead of our time to our own disadvantage, but it's time to kind of, regroup and go back and take advantage of the platforms that are out there today.
Well, that sounds amazing. Well, wonderful. Well, listen, so I can't leave you in suspense any longer. I have to read my blog from www.
I was hoping we weren't going to have to go naked or something.
No.
Although Tracy.
No, I'm wearing, as my father requested, I'm wearing my V-neck top.
You look great.
I had to change to my V-neck top, and my dad likes it when I wear red. So he told me,
good.
every show I've got to wear red, and I need to show my tits, which I know means
that's what your dad said.
That's what my 80-year-old dad said. It just means I need a V-neck. I told my daughters, I said, they were like, "Oh my gosh, that's horrible. Your dad shouldn't be saying that to you." I said, "Hey, relax." I said, "I've grown up with this man. I know what he means. He just wants to see a little cleavage."
Just tell it straight, yeah.
So I got a new dress here. Ben is falling all over me about the new dress. He says I'm looking good. So I got the thumbs up from the producer. So
I like this Ben. I liked him the minute I met him, especially since I was lost.
Exactly, especially because at first you got lost walking all around here, right? You found another podcast studio nearby.
I was very familiar with it, and I was thinking that has to be the place, so I never even looked at the address.
Well, when I was telling Jeff where we were, he kept saying, "But is it that place that's by this and this?" And I was like, "Look,
great music place.
I'm going to send you the address. I just want you to have the address. I don't know what it's by. I do everything with GPS,
Oh, see, I do nothing with that. I'm like, Magellan had the same.
So he says I'm here, and I get here, and he's not here, and then we're like looking for him, and I said, "He's in TV. He's not late. He already told me he was here."
I was there. Yeah, I was sitting there, and they were all looking at me kind of weird, and I thought, well, I'm here for the 2:30 podcast, and they actually just said, "Yeah, okay."
But he said, "I'm in the right place. This is the right kind of studio. This is where I want to be seen."
No, this is a gas.
What did you say it was? You said it's.
This is like CBS.
Yeah,
I remember,
like CBS,
a few times, we would be on the road with radio shows.
Fake it till you make it, baby. Fake it till you make it. Right, Ben? We're CBS.
They'd send you to some other big-time radio station after being down here, maybe in some local bandbox
CBS,
studio.
NBC, ABC.
You'd look and go, "My God, so this is how the other half lives."
No favorites, Fox.
This is podcast heaven here. This man has put something great together.
This is amazing,
Yeah.
I've got to say. Well, that's what I thought, too, when I was first invited here. I was first invited here by another podcast and called Crazy Rich Neighbors. Here in Boca, these women, and it was
like
so
a good
fun.
theme. Sure.
It was so fun. And then after the show, they said, "Oh my gosh, you were great." They said, "You've got to have your own podcast," and so that's how it started.
You are an electrifying personality, as evidence. My wife doesn't like many people.
Oh.
No, she does. But she took to you right away.
Yes,
so,
I think she's amazing. Yeah. Lifelong friends, right?
No, it's one of those things. We're obviously coming from different perspectives. No, she's terrific. We just went on a little vacation to Atlantic City. Had a great time. She hit some jackpot. She calls me on the phone and says, "It's either 21,000 or 218,000." I'm thinking, nah. Don't
either
tell me
way.
Turned out it was $2,000, but
Well,
she couldn't see the comma.
That's still a good win.
And when she showed me the picture, it looked like it could have been the 218. I was thinking, I love this woman. And then it was 2 dimes, which dissipated very quickly over the next 48 hours.
That's awesome. Now, how long have you been married?
Married officially, I would say maybe 8 years. Yeah,
8 years.
I'm going to go 8. I'm going to say 8 on that.
All right.
And together a few years before that, so it's been quite some time.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, your wife is quite a woman. I love her. So, anyway, okay, I know you do too. But we're gonna go on here now, and I'm gonna talk about.
What did you have? You had some kind of romance segment you were doing here on the show. Did you say that to me yesterday? No.
That's what I'm gonna read about right now.
Oh, okay.
It
great,
is that time.
Oh, you get an intro. How in tune are we?
Exactly.
Tracy, that I knew this was coming.
Exactly. Okay, so this is because I used to write blogs when I lived in South Beach, and my blogs were called they can be found today at www.beingtracy.com. And if you want to see why that is, you got to just watch the other podcasts that I've filmed because I already told the story. So anyway, this particular one, I haven't written in my blogs in a year because they never ended up really good is the thing. I only wrote a blog if I was passionate about the material. And then I would write, and I can't pound on the table either. And then I would write a blog. Okay, so this one is called Baseball Guy and the Personality Test. I wrote it September 19th, 2019.
All right.
Okay.
So it's still pretty fresh.
Yeah, well, 2019,
Uh-huh.
like what, 5 years ago, 4 years ago?
4
I
years
lived
ago.
in South Beach on West Avenue. And it starts, I met a very interesting man last night. I had been home all day since I've moved. I really love my new location so much that I quite enjoy my alone time at home more than ever. All my life, I've preferred the company of others and to be out socializing. Finally, now I'm in a really good place where there's so much where there's no place like home with myself.
Uh-huh.
All right, so I didn't even have the TV on nor the radio. I never watch TV. I do listen to the radio a lot though. And I just ordered some furnishings online, talked on the phone to a friend and my kids, did a little real estate class online, and then napped because didn't even have my real estate license yet. When I woke, I still wasn't sure if I wanted to do anything. I marveled that it was Thursday night and I had no plans. Not the norm living in South Beach. Honestly, it was going to take an amazing invitation to make me want to get out of bed and do something. I've gone out so much since I've been living in South Beach, going on the 5th year at this time of the blog, that I kind of was feeling that I had the alone home time stored up. Still, I put the question out there on the dating app to a few handsome possible suitors. I'm sure you've never been on the dating app, have you?
You know what? I have not. I'm an old school believer, where you go out to a bar and meet somebody, or
I know,
happen
but
to see somebody that attracts you, and make a move that you think that if I don't do this now, it's never going to happen again in my life, so I may as well try it. But there's an element of romance to that. I guess it's much more popular now to do all of this.
How did you and your wife meet?
At a bar, of course.
At a bar. Well, see, I met
I walked into a bar. Next
Yeah.
thing you know, I was married.
I met my ex-husband because I went to work for him and I applied for a job in his restaurant, and that's how I met him.
Well, I mean, I wasn't as popular, when I was more inclined to be in a dating mode. But I always liked going to a place, maybe had some live music and finding somebody in a situation like that.
Yeah. Well, the boyfriend I had for a long time before that, I'd met him at a bar. So anyway, that was gonna be my
There's no
story
shame
too.
in it. None.
I don't think there's any shame in it. You got to go somewhere to meet people.
Exactly. I tell my friends that they've been by themselves for a while or whatever, and I say, a beautiful woman, the woman of your dreams, seldom comes and knocks on your door and says, "Hey, Jesus, Joe. You know what? I'm glad I found your house, because otherwise we would have never met."
I've been looking for you, Jeff.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Okay, well, so I was just putting this message out to the universe, to the 5 handsome men I found online.
All right.
This is my blanket message. Hey, you look great. What are you doing tonight? And then I just wait and see what they said, okay? So first, there were a couple of responses that I found very uninteresting. Then I got a positive and interesting response from someone with the profile name Baseball Guy 10.
Baseball Guy 10, all right.
First of all, I've always been attracted to baseball players.
All right, I'm
My
trying to think. Did
boyfriend
he wear
before I got
number
married
10?
to my husband was a baseball player.
Could have been Dick Hauser. I mean, he's no longer with us, though.
Okay.
Tony
well,
Kubek wore
yeah,
number 10.
like
He's
we're
dead.
going to go through the list and figure out who this was. Baseball guy said he used to be a pro player, was in from Texas for a real estate conference at the Ritz in Key Biscayne.
Okay, nice.
Miami.
Yeah, sounds
we
good.
We chatted a bit, and I read his full profile on the dating app because I usually don't read it until after I send out the message. Like if I'm attracted to them. What?
How much of it is credible, the dating profile?
Well, that's, you got to just, sometime you got to just trust people, right? That's what, did I say this on the other blog that the biggest thing in Miami, I heard on a dating website on Facebook, is that the people don't trust each other in Miami. That's the
that may be
biggest
true
thing.
Anywhere at this stage of the world. It's hard to trust, what's really going on, whether or not it's, real or not. But all right, so this is good. So you have
all right,
it working.
so we have a little bit in common here.
Yeah. There's a spark.
He's a baseball player staying at the Ritz. Okay, we chatted a bit, and I read his full profile on the dating app. He sounded really interesting.
No mention of serial killings or anything like that.
No,
Okay.
he didn't have anything like that. It sounded like we had a lot in common.
All right.
He said he always looks at the positive side of things, and I could see that in his text responses to me, which I always do too. Baseball guy had a very optimistic demeanor. Also, he was 6'2", which I'm hoping my soulmate is out there in 6'2".
All
That's
right,
what I'm
6'2",
hoping
eyes
for
of
my
blue.
soulmate.
Nice.
Manifesting my soulmate to be 6'2". That's my favorite height. Okay, so baseball guy is a baseball
Wear
guy.
heels, yeah.
I'm 5'2". Okay, that's why they're laughing at me.
Wow.
I'm 5'2". So what are the chances my soulmate is 6'2"? Who's to say?
What about Shaq?
All right, well, hey.
But you go 7? Do you go 7'2"?
No, it can be too
Gotta be
tall.
6'2".
I decided this too. You can be too tall. How tall are you?
I go by 6 feet, but that might be the height I used to be.
My ex-husband was 6 feet. All my
Yeah.
kids are taller than me. I just like a taller man. That's just what
All
I'm
right.
attracted to.
All right.
A man that can protect me. Okay?
All right,
I
so
think
you
a
found
taller
this
man's
guy.
going to be able to protect me.
This guy's got a
This could
baseball
be
bat
my
in his hand.
soulmate.
I mean, for protection, he's like Ray
This
Donovan
could
all of
be
a
my
sudden.
soulmate. Jeez, I mean, this could be him. Okay,
right.
so I'm sitting. I check it off my list. Well, that could be my soulmate. That could be
right.
my soulmate. Okay,
This is a Thursday
'Cause I'm
night,
looking for my soulmate.
and this is all going on online without you actually
This
speaking to
is
each
all.
other.
I think it was
Nice.
like a Thursday. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so he had a very optimistic demeanor. He was 6'2", my favorite height, and baseball guy is a baseball guy here for a real estate conference, and I am taking a real estate class online. Coincidence?
Wow. I think not. I think that this is tracking
Wait till
very
I
well.
tell you more about this guy. Also, baseball guy is at the Ritz-Carlton.
Yes.
And I love nice things.
And he-
Coincidence?
He owns the Dodgers. Also, did he have that in his resume?
It was sounding like divine destiny that we meet. Don't you
Yes.
think?
Ah,
I mean, I
man.
think that I had to crawl. I was like, I got to crawl out of bed and meet this guy. But then it wasn't
Okay.
perfect yet, okay?
So this was going to be on his turf
I'm
at the
sitting,
Ritz.
well, I don't know. We haven't decided that yet. Baseball guy said he could come to South Beach to meet me or invited me there to meet him. He said that 10 minutes ago, I was drinking Ritz champagne and figuring out where to eat here.
Clevelander, 8 o'clock. Is that what you told him?
I have said that before. As a matter of fact,
News
that's
Cafe
another
at
blog.
7,
That's
yeah.
another blog. We'll have to read another time.
There you go.
All right. So I said, let me see how much Uber is to go over there. He said, I'll pay for your Uber. I'd insist.
Nice.
My soulmate would
It's
say
a class
that.
move,
My
yeah.
soulmate would say.
Don't tell me you showed up with flowers.
Well, that's happened before, too. You have your blog from last week. Okay, so I said, oh, wow, that's awesome. Then it's a no-brainer. An hour and a half later, we both had showered and we were seated at the nicest restaurant with the best food in the Ritz, we were told. When my Uber arrived, baseball guy was standing outside waiting for me. We walked inside, and there was live music in the atrium. It was just beautiful and exactly my style. We hit it right off immediately. No lapse in conversation.
All right. How come?
How come I'm so serious
Yeah, I
about
mean,
myself? Well,
obviously
wait.
the story didn't end well.
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so baseball guy told me that I look better than my pictures, and he was very happy.
That's always a good one.
yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
I was very happy as well. He was handsome, but the best part about him was that he had such an amazing attitude, and he was interesting, which, as he pointed out, could go either way. But I assured him that it was the kind of interesting that was attractive.
All right. So, I mean, you're both all in.
Okay.
That's great when it happens, isn't it?
Right away, he told me, full disclosure.
He doesn't own the shirt on his back.
I'm married, but getting a divorce.
Can I give you my impression there? That's a strike on the outside corner.
That's a big red flag. If I had known that, I would not have accepted this date.
Of course not, yeah.
No. I mean, that's like not, that's a... Not,
you have your reputation.
You know how many times on the dating app we hear that? Like, oh, I'm separated, I'm getting a divorce. Yeah. And then we find out they live together.
I had a woman tell me, because I was, trying to get going before I actually was officially divorced in one of my 3 marriages. And this was number 2. And, I had an attraction for this woman that we knew. And she said to me, and this is perfect, she said, you know what? Call me the second your divorce is official. And not until then.
Exactly.
Because people tell you they're getting divorced and they're separated and this and that, and they go on and on about somebody. And the truth is they're going to end up back together.
Yeah.
Or, it's going to linger on for so long and there's going to be so much interference that you can't really have a
Divorce
relationship.
Divorce is not easy. And honestly, if you can make it work with the person that you're married to, and especially if you have kids with them,
but if you're single, you want a clean break.
And if you're single, hey, the way I think of it is, I took the long haul. I saw a life without my husband, and I did what I had to do to make that happen. I don't appreciate these guys that are still, married and trying to entertain the other thing on the side either. I don't like that.
How quickly did you get back in the car after this admission was made?
Well,
at least he said it right away.
He had to do his personality test on me.
Okay.
Don't forget.
All right.
So I said, "Oh, are you still living together?" He said, "No." Of course, what do I know? He's not even from this state.
There you go. He's going back to Fort Worth.
But hey, listen, he was a super nice guy. So then I'm like, okay, let's just enjoy dinner. Yeah. I'm here now. He paid for me to take the car here. And so I said, we really didn't talk much more about it. But to me, this was a definite red flag. And he kept me entertained. And without missing a beat, he said that he was interested in me. And so he wanted to do a personality test on me that he learned in psychology classes in college.
All right.
Okay. So his first question, and you're going to answer it. Okay.
I'm a willing guinea pig.
If you could be any color, what color would you be? And why?
That was his first question. I would have walked right there.
Hey, this is an interesting test. Wait till I finish.
If I could be any color in terms of just like a color in general, or a color that normally people would be.
What color would you be?
What color would I be?
And then why?
I would be blue, as in true blue.
Is that why? Because it's true blue?
True blue. I mean, blue. Blue just seems to go seamlessly into anything. It's a very pleasing color.
Can you guess what I chose?
It's a very positive color. You said red.
Of course I said red.
Yeah, well, you're a woman.
Of course I said red.
Yeah.
And I said red because it's brilliant, beautiful, and eye-catching. He said, that's what I am. So that's what you are. You're true
pretty
blue.
much true blue, yeah.
Okay, so number 2.
Although if you ask my first couple of ex-wives, and maybe even my current one, they might suggest otherwise. Might not be so flattering about that.
Oh, I bet she'd be flattering. Okay. So if you could be any animal, what would it be and why?
That's a tough one right off the top of my head. Any animal, I would be a racehorse so that I could have Lafitte Pink Eye Jr., my favorite jockey, ride me to victory in the Kentucky Derby.
Okay, I said kitten because they're sweet, cuddly, soft, friendly. He said, that's how I want others to see me.
Okay, my answer probably would have got me fired from any job application. I want to be a racehorse. What are you talking about, Tracy?
Next, I didn't know what to do with that one either. I was like,
I just thought that up on the spot.
Do you want to answer
so
again?
I could be ridden by Lafitte Pink Eye? Yeah.
Do you want to answer again?
I love these questions. What are you talking about?
I'm like trying to remember.
It's like being on the Hollywood Squares.
I must have written because I remember being there in the restaurant with him and him doing this test on me. I'm like, what was I doing just sitting there writing down the questions?
I feel like Paul Lynde. It's great on the Hollywood Squares.
Okay.
Ask me another one, Tracy.
Okay, here's another one.
Yeah.
If you could be any liquid, what would it be?
Vodka.
Okay. I said.
Always makes people feel good.
What do you think I said? Can you guess?
You said spring water.
No, I said tequila because it's an upper, fun, happy drink. He said, "That's what is my sex life. That's what I want. That's my sex life."
How did you not end up with this guy? I mean, just based on this psychological
just because I'm answering
test.
the questions perfectly doesn't mean he answered it perfectly, right? Okay.
He didn't use the racehorse one, did he? Odds of that are zero.
Racehorse, no, that was not brought up. I didn't think of that.
All right.
Okay. And the last question was, if I am sitting in an all-white room and there is no way out,
Okay.
and suddenly I feel a breeze, how would I feel?
An all-white room, there's no way out, and you feel a breeze. That question might be too deep for me. I mean, I'm not sure I understand the connection there. Give me some kind of guidance as to
All
a
right,
direction
I'll tell you
there.
my answer.
What was
I
your
said
answer?
free, especially if there is a breeze, because that means there is a way out.
That's a good one, yeah. Wow, how much weed were you smoking
This
that night
is
when
the
you came up with
first
that?
personality test I've ever done, and I would say I got flying colors. I passed with flying. The guy was like ready to date me right after that if he wouldn't have been married.
Well, that was a big drawback, I would have to say, a negative right from the
that's a
start.
bummer for him. But anyway,
Good test, all right.
Wait, we're not done.
Oh, really? How am I scoring on
He
this
would
thing?
he really got to know me.
If you
Well,
don't answer a question,
he
where
said
does
this
that leave
last
you?
question about the white room.
Okay.
That is how I feel about
It sounds like
religion
a
and death.
song that would inspire Cream, to write some new music.
He said that is how I feel about religion and death. Okay.
All right.
I feel free, especially if there is a breeze, because that means there's a way out of death, I guess.
Yeah, I try not to think
There
about
is
it.
a way out of death, I believe.
Yeah, it's to live longer.
To live longer,
That's
to
about
be
it.
reincarnated. I believe that. I don't know. That's a whole nother question.
I do believe in some semblance of reincarnation theories. In that it seems like whatever you're interested in or whatever your personality became, it's established at a very young age.
Yeah.
And it may be completely a departure from anything that you're influenced by your family. In other words, like I was a big sports fan as a kid. Where does this come from? I mean, as a 5-year-old, that's all I
Right.
wanted. I was consumed by it. I wanted to study the history of boxing, this, that, and the other thing. And then as life evolves, you start realizing, wow, I started to gravitate in all of these circles. So
Right.
maybe that's some
Sure.
occult reason to believe that you might have lived before.
Maybe. But anyway.
I want to believe that.
So
But,
the baseball guy said, wow, your answers are very good. Can I ask you another question?
How do you feel about married men?
I said, so of course. I said, sure.
All right.
I was having fun and was interested too. Next, he asked, you are in the desert and you have to get out. You have 5 animals with you.
Yeah.
Which one do you leave behind first, and then next, and then next, and then next, until only one animal is left?
I'm not
Wait,
gonna-
I got to
okay.
give you the 5
the
animals. You
choices.
can't answer until I give you the 5
I
animals.
thought I had a choice. That's obvious, the
He's
answer.
like, he's ready to answer me. I
Yeah.
haven't given him the 5 animals yet.
Do you get more points if you answer quickly?
If you know what the animals are before you're told, you get more points.
Here it is.
No, you don't.
You beat the
You
time
don't get
clock.
more points. The animals are sheep, lion, cow, horse, monkey. Which one do you leave out first?
Oh, I'll go. Give me those again. Sheep.
Sheep, lion, cow, horse, monkey.
I'm leaving the monkey behind. Pain in the neck. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see any purpose
got-
to
you
be
got
dragging
the
and schlepping a
monkey.
monkey through the desert.
Wait, let me see what the monkey was. Just a minute. I got to get to the
that
monkey.
had to be number 5 on everybody's list.
The monkey is your kids. That's what you left out first. You left your kids out.
I'm not sure it equates exactly that way psychologically with me.
Okay. All right. So go
But
ahead.
who's grading this test? So who has the answer key?
Nobody had the answer key. It was just like,
I'm getting rid of the
he
monkey. What
likes
is a
my
monkey gonna
answers.
do for me?
I answered perfectly.
I
You
can
said
ride the
your
horse.
kids are out first. Your
Yeah.
kids are out.
But I'm thinking about ways to get out of the desert. So, I mean, what is the most useless of the animals would be the monkey, who's going to want a banana and all kinds of attention, and then, basically be a... Listen, monkeys aren't the friendliest of
Okay,
animals.
so the monkey's first, and then
God.
what?
Yeah.
And then
Probably
what?
the lion. I'd be a little scared to be palling around with this lion. The lion might be first also.
The lion
It's
is
a
your
toss-up.
pride, which is what you are left with.
I'm willing to sacrifice
Well, which
that.
is what I was
I'm
left
on the
with.
show.
Okay, all right, lion. Then what? You got,
Probably the cow, too slow.
okay.
And then what do I have left? Sheep. Well, you can't
I
ride
think
a
the
sheep.
horse. You didn't say horse yet, did you?
No, I'm keeping the horse to the end.
Cow, monkey. All right, then all right. So baseball
It
guy.
ties in with my second answer.
All right,
which
so
was
here's
the
what I
racehorse,
said.
yeah.
Here's what I said. I said sheep has to go, then the cow, then the monkey, then the horse, leaving me with the lion.
Oh, you have the lion left. Okay.
Baseball guy said that his last animal was the horse because he thought the lion might kill him. I said, isn't that funny? I was imagining that the lion was my friend, so I would ride on its back out of there.
All right.
Another insight into our souls, we thought.
I mean, you guys were tight. This was,
I mean, we were getting to know each other pretty well.
Romeo and freaking Juliet here.
Except he's married.
Did he have a guitar? I mean.
Except he's married. Okay.
All right, well, but I mean,
So then he
that's
said,
that's a
he explained
roadblock.
all the animals.
Yes.
He said, sheep, he said, is your friends. But he said he didn't think that he could see me leaving my friends behind. So he didn't think that was correct of what little he knew of me so far. Then cow is symbolic of your basic everyday needs. The monkey is your kids. The horse is your passions. And the lion is your pride, which is what I was left with. My pride.
That's pretty nice. I mean, is this guy the amazing Kreskin or something?
Hey, he just
Did he
learned
pull
this.
the tablecloth
I
out
don't
from
know how he
underneath?
remembered it. He learned it in college, which, he was about my age, so I don't know.
I could see him just pulling the tablecloth and
I
all
don't
the
know.
dishes
Yeah,
stay
I
there.
don't know.
Hey, it must have worked because you remembered it.
Yeah.
I didn't remember it, but I'm reading
Thank
a
God you
blog.
wrote it down.
I wouldn't have
Yeah,
remembered
yeah.
it. That's why I wrote
You
these
might
blogs.
want to dissolve that from your computer in case anybody ever
they're
gets,
good
gets in the wrong
stories.
hands.
They're good stories. I mean, now we all were. I forgot about this actually. All right,
I like the test. I mean,
it's not done yet.
There's more. Okay, I'm more than game.
You got to know me very well.
All right.
For a guy that's married and lives in another state. Then, very happy with all of my answers, and I guess the insight into my soul, he asked to give me one final test.
I can't imagine what that was. Not sure.
This time, he said, you're on the way to your lover's house.
All right.
He asked, do you take the quickest way there or do you take the scenic route? I said, straight there, the fastest way.
I'm with you. You can go back to scenic route.
This means,
If
he
you're still
said,
together.
that I fall hard and fast. But if you would have taken the long, beautiful scenic route there, when it comes to relationships, you take your time, take a while to trust, don't jump in with 2 feet quickly. Well, we know I do exactly the opposite of that. I trust, and I have a big heart, and I give my heart over easily, if I really fall for someone. But anyway, okay, the next question is, you get to choose 20 roses. Okay, and you have white roses and red to choose. Do you choose white or red or what combination of each to give your lover?
White or red? In general, I'm inclined to go all red.
That's what I'd said, all red.
Well, it's your color.
Yeah. Red is how much you expect in a relationship. White means how much you give in a relationship.
I'm all red again.
He said he chose all white with a red one in the center.
I think this
Sounding
guy's
pretty great, isn't he?
painting a much rosier,
He's
no
still
pun
sounding
intended
pretty great, I
picture.
gotta say. But except that in the back of my head, I'm going, he's married. He's married.
But don't you think there's a little bit of sugarcoating to this man's overall personality and persona, the way that he's portraying himself? I
I
mean,
don't know. He was pretty sharp. He was pretty sharp, well dressed. I mean,
Russell Crowe wasn't as noble in the Gladiator movie. I mean, this guy
well,
is
look,
a mensch.
all right. Well, wait. Let me get to the end, and then we can make an assessment.
All right.
Okay. All right. The next question. The maid answers the door. Do I go get him myself, or do I wait for the maid to get him?
The maid answers the door.
So, or do you go get the woman you're there for to see by yourself, or do you wait for the maid to bring her down to you?
No, I'd want to go myself. Yeah,
I said the same.
for sure.
I go get him myself. Baseball guy said this means I am more of a direct person and I will handle things myself instead of wait for someone else to do things.
All right.
Next question. Then you bring flowers to him or her. Where do you place the flowers? In his bedroom or the windowsill or on the bed?
I'll be thinking more like the kitchen.
The kitchen?
Yeah. Or, some counter on the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I said on the bed. He said if you put the flowers on the windowsill or the kitchen,
Yeah.
sex isn't important in a relationship to you. On the bed, like I put them, sex is important in a relationship to you.
Makes some sense, although now you got to toss the flowers off the bed. Whereas if they were in the kitchen, you could just get right to it.
Okay. So
This baseball guy is something. I mean, is he still alive, this cat? I mean,
you go into his room.
he did a number on you, Tracy.
Listen.
He really did.
You go into his room. Do you want him awake or asleep when you enter the next morning?
It depends how long you've been married. No, you just met.
You go into his room. Do you want him awake or asleep when you enter the next morning?
And how'd you answer that?
I said awake. And he said, if you want to find him awake, you want him to change or adapt to suit you. If you want to find him asleep, you want to love him just as he is. I should have gotten your answer.
No, I'm thinking it's always A with a woman. I don't mean to be disparaging towards women, but in general, my experience has always been that they're more inclined to want to make them into what they want you to be in a relationship, as opposed to just saying, you know what a great guy. I don't want to touch this guy. He's fine the way he is. More inclination there.
Interesting.
That's not meant as any, it's human nature, I think, more so than anything else. I guess guys want women to be the way they want them to do also. So it goes both ways. What did baseball guy have to say about this? I'm curious because it sounds like this guy
he just said if you want to find him awake, you want to change or adapt him to suit you. If you want to find him asleep, you want to love him just as he is. And I said awake.
You sure this guy isn't the Dalai Lama now or
I would
something?
fit right along with your thing. Now, there was one more question.
Okay.
Finally, he said, and this is my last question. On the way home from his house, do you take the quickest way or the long scenic route?
I would think long scenic. I mean, unless it was super late. But, yeah, that would be the way to go. You want to have that long romantic walk. And there's nothing, I mean, with this is always in a new relationship you're talking about?
I guess so.
Or in
it's
general?
It's open for interpretation.
Okay. I mean, you want to do the old walk and, smooch routine on the way back, no?
So you want to do the scenic
Stop, buy some beautiful scenery.
I also said scenic route home, and he said means your relationships tend to last a while.
Yeah, sometimes too long in my case. But what can you do?
I haven't had a lot of long relationships. I haven't. I was married for 17 years.
If they all give you this quiz, I would run.
This is the thing,
Yeah.
I was married for 17 years. And I haven't really had a substantial relationship since then. So, and that's been 15 years ago. So
let me ask you a question, Tracy.
I'm going to keep this. I'm going to print this out and put it in my wallet. Take it to my next.
Oh, okay. Would you take this test again? Was my question because I mean, that's living very adventurously. Would you ever put anyone else to this test?
I might. I think it's a good icebreaker. Didn't you think so?
Yeah. I would start with the question about the white room just to see where somebody's head was at.
Okay, so anyway, this was a brilliant icebreaker.
Yeah.
Though the conversation never lagged, we both had not eaten in a while, and so immediately got the crab cake to share, as I was already starting to feel alcohol because I'd ordered the Jack Daniels and Diet Coke, which is what he ordered to drink, as I like to mirror what my date is drinking. And as an added plus, that drink sounded fun and unusual for me.
How did he interpret that?
He didn't really give me an interpretation.
There was no symbolism involved?
I used to drink Diet Coke instead of water, crazy when I was going through college, high school.
It's not good for you.
And then I got pregnant with the first baby. I've got 4 babies, that, for those of you that don't know, they're grown up now. But after the first baby, I never drank Diet Coke after that again. I just never, ever got that taste back that I wanted it.
Does weird things. I mean, I guess when they discovered that it could melt the metal on an engine of the Chevy Vega.
Yeah. I've actually got a picture of me in Mackinac Island Michigan hugging a Diet Coke machine. Like my girlfriends
Yeah.
took it on me, hugging a Diet Coke machine. But
Very addicting, that stuff.
oh yeah, I was definitely addicted.
I
but
like it
then
better
I
when
also,
it actually had Coke in it.
when we moved to Panama, Coke there didn't taste the same. Diet Coke and Coke did not taste the same in Panama, the Republic of Panama.
Could be the water.
There was something different.
Yeah. I don't know.
I did not know what it was, but
distinction.
it didn't taste as good to me there.
Yeah.
And that was another thing.
Maybe that helped you quit.
Yeah, might have helped me quit. Yeah. Okay, so let's see here now. All right. I never drink Diet Coke anymore, and Jack sounded interesting. The crab cake was awesome, so we got another crab cake to share. Then I promised him that I was already filling up, so I was sure that we could just share a dinner. That's what I usually do.
That's always good.
Yeah. I don't need to have a whole dinner, and especially from the Ritz.
The Mustang and I do that often.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're not that big of
Smart.
eaters.
It's smart. Although I do have a friend that never wants to share with me. He's like, you're getting your own. He takes me out like when I lived in South Beach, he's there. David McVicker, my good friend, he would always take me out and he'd be like, no, we're not sharing. Get what you want. I'm going to get what I want. And he picks up the check every time. He doesn't let me pay.
There's a lot
but
to be said for that.
Yeah,
True.
he's like, I'm getting what I want. You're getting what you want. But anyway, no romance in that either, though, right?
No, it's fine. I mean, the conversation, the affection that you show during dinner or whatever, the glances back and forth.
Okay, so get this. Another thing we had in common. Baseball guy had just finished a keto diet and so was still on a high protein diet, which is exactly how I eat. No bread, low carbs, a lot of protein and veggies. We ordered the branzino filet, which is fish, if you don't know.
Yeah.
To share with asparagus, no skin and no head. He said no eyeballs, which is a big thing with me. I hate to have this fish
I'm with you on that.
staring back at me, which is exactly the way I like it. And honestly, I was already so full just from sharing the crab cakes. I brought home most of it for lunch today because
Nice.
they put it on 2 different plates for us. So anyway, after dinner, we walked back to a bar on the other side and sat at a table for 2, and baseball guy ordered another Jack and Diet Coke for both of us. He suggested maybe we change to wine, as I almost ordered myself a wine at the start of the evening, but I told him, no, you don't drink wine at the end of an evening unless you want to slow things down. So we stuck with Jack and Diet Coke. Is that what you would agree with?
I'm not a big Jack and Diet Coke guy.
Would you? All right, well.
I probably would have started with the wine. Would be more likely that was
and
the
then
case.
finished with the Jack and Diet Coke.
No, I would have stuck with it in all likelihood.
All right. So anyway, finally, I was ready to leave, but baseball guy convinced me to stay for one more hour in the atrium with the live music. Such a fun evening. And then, like the perfect gentleman, he called me an Uber X, and a beautiful black car showed up and made sure I got safely home and sent me a text to make sure. And again, the next morning confirming that he had also had an excellent time. Baseball guy texted me throughout the next days to keep in touch while he was there. He'd said he'd like to see me again, but just kept having meetings come up with his work. And then one final text to say goodbye on Wednesday at the end of his busy conference to say, just boarding. Thank you for the great night until we meet again. So he was the perfect gentleman.
Yes.
Except that he's still
He was stepping out on his wife. Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. We need to have another sound for that one.
Yeah.
Like, dun, 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 dun.
Maybe like a bowling ball dropping into
like
the pool or
boing.
something. Yeah.
Okay, now we've got the real estate minute.
Okay, good. What's happening in real estate? How's this going up?
So I bet you're wondering, is 2023 a good time to invest in real estate? Everybody's
I would
wondering
think
this.
it always is.
Narada Real Estate Investments wrote something here that I found that says investing in real estate can be a great method to build a lot of wealth right now in 2023. And think about it. Real estate as a long-term investment, as the housing market is currently out of control. Not only are property prices rising across the board, but mortgage rates have reached their highest level in almost a decade. That means now is a particularly difficult time to acquire income properties or discover cheap homes that may be refurbished and flipped for profit. If you have the ability to wait it out, investing in real estate can be an excellent way to amass a significant amount of money. Is it safe to say that real estate is a solid investment now that the housing market does not appear to be in a bubble anymore? Well, in order to provide that answer to that question, we need to take a look at the things that we are investing in first. Real estate typically outperforms other assets in terms of appreciation. Furthermore, it is not as susceptible to short-term volatility as, say, the stock market. Whether you rent out an apartment or a business property for income or buy a home, you obtain a physical, usable asset. There are two methods to profit from rental property, and purchasers should take advantage of both. You should acquire a property that will provide you with short-term monthly cash flow while also having the potential for long-term gain. However, while deciding whether to invest or not, most investors prioritize purchasing a property with a good cash flow. A good rental property should provide positive cash flow. The more the better, right? Recent rate rises have affected home values. As home buyers' affordability declines, many stop trying to buy. We're seeing price lowered banners on listings for the first time in years. We're not seeing so many of those here in Florida. There's a more positive news, but that's more positive news for purchasers. 2023 is a balanced year for housing supply and demand. This is ideal for retail purchasers and rental property investors. No longer is it a seller's market. Rising interest rates raise the monthly mortgage payment, which reduces home buyers and lowers property values. And that was from an article written August 2023. So anyway, everybody, please send me your message. Send or leave me a message, rather, if you want me or someone from my amazing Keller Williams real estate team to call you get further information to you about this. I might be more than happy to help you. I've got a team across the world. So just call my Keller Williams worldwide office at 561-245-4000. And then I've got the website, livingtracy.kw.com. It's amazing. You just plug in your property that you're interested in. You can get all the information you need. Or, just plug yourself in, register, and then I can help find you what you're looking for. Anyway, so that's for help with all of your real estate needs. And be sure you ask for Tracy Bush Pate. That's me. And Jeff, please give your contact information and how people can get a hold of you.
You can follow us on a channel called South Florida Live. Also, a portion of our show airs on 5 Reasons Sports Network every day. Also, nofilter.net. We're up there every day. And then later on, that restaurant show is on the Facebook page, Let's Eat South Florida.
Great.
Which is a real good source of information. Run by the Sun Sentinel and the aforementioned Mike Mayo. And if you're looking to dine out anywhere, great feedback and recommendations on restaurants. The people themselves are talking about it. And, I've discovered a lot of great places as a result of
I'm so excited to check that out myself.
Yeah, no, it's good.
That's amazing.
Good little page.
Well, anyway, please subscribe, like my channel on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you have your favorite podcast station. It helps me with the algorithm. If you post, if you share, please help a girl out, okay? I'm trying to get as much exposure.
It's everywhere.
As I can. So I'm here to serve you, and please leave a message down below if there's something in particular you want information on, or if you have a good interview, someone like Jeff or like some of my other guests who have risen from adversity in their life
from the
and
ashes.
Have a great story,
yes.
Or are just plain interesting and famous like Jeff here.
No, it's great being on your show. Thanks so much for inviting me, and it was a pleasure. I hope it didn't do too much psychological damage to the people out there that were following our answers to the questions.
Well, I think you're awesome, and I think it was didn't you think it was a good personality test? I bet you're gonna go home and use that tonight on your wife, aren't you?
You know what? If I did, she has a baseball bat, so it'd be a different version of baseball.
We'll give her the test together. Like we'll have her cornered. We'll what would you have said?
She would Baker act me, I think, if I laid some of those questions.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, thanks again, everybody, and have a great rest of the week. We're sending you lots of love.